Hello everybody and welcome to the Redmen TV and your latest Liverpool news update. My name is Dan Clubb. I'm here for the next half an hour or so to talk to you and with you about all the latest news relating to the Reds today. First and foremost, I hope everybody is well. I hope we're all happy. The Reds, of course, got back to winning ways at the weekend. It was a job well done, I think it's fair to say. Relatively comfortable in the end. All three attacking lads getting on the score sheet, all three of them with headers. Ultimately, all that matters was all 3 points for Liverpool. And yeah, a good weekend all in all for the club, actually. I was lucky enough to watch the 18s win on Saturday morning. Then, of course, watched the first team win Saturday afternoon. Then the under-21s also won yesterday afternoon. And the women's team won as well. So yeah, pretty strong weekends all around with everything relating to the club, which is a good thing, isn't it? Essentially, it's a really, really good thing. Sound cool. Let's get into some news then, in that case. I've got quite a bit to talk to you about today, as ever. So I'll try and make it nice and conversational. We'll try and have a good chat about things as we go along. First off, I want to talk to you about Xabi Alonso, of course. Why else could we possibly start? And it's an interesting one. I've said this a few times. I said this, I think it's last week as well, when I was doing one of these shows. Like, it's a really difficult... It's a good situation, and it's a really difficult situation at the moment for talking about Liverpool and sort of, especially in the news cycle, because obviously there's so much going on the pitch and with the current state of play in Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, and obviously there's still a quadruple to play for. We're still very much fighting on all four fronts, so all that is boss. But then you sort of have to park that for a minute and talk about who could follow Jurgen Klopp, and then you've got to park that and talk about what's going on the pitch. It's a difficult one, is how I describe it. It's good fun and it's busy, but it's a really hard sort of balance to strike, I'd describe it as. And there was people last week in the chat saying, just concentrate on what's going on. And there's other people saying, who's going to be the next manager? So we're going to try and marry up the two as best as we possibly can over the coming weeks and months until we know exactly what's going on, I guess. Tigsy kicks us off. I'm sound, mate. Hope you are as well. Gary and Jane Francis, afternoon to you both. Hope you're well. Jake Sutcliffe, afternoon. Hope you're good. Rebecca, how are you doing? Hope you're all well as well. Jamie Clutch, it's a lot of afternoons. I might have bitten off more than like a chew here with these, to be honest with you. I'll just rattle through them. I've got a question on the way. John Summers, hello Dan, hello mate. What do you think our best midfield three is and why? I think, oh God, that's difficult. We've absolutely blessed in midfield options, aren't we? I think that's fair to say. And I think the beauty of our midfield at the moment is that it doesn't really matter which three of the 6 or 7 available get picked in sort of any given day. I think we're relatively comfortable with it. But I think all fit, all fresh, all on form, my choice would be Alexis McAllister, Dom Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones. But again, you could easily throw Wataru Endo in there. You could throw a Harvey Elliott in there. You could throw a Ryan Gravenberch in there, and you'd be okay with it, I think it's fair to say. Beneath that is obviously Bobby Clark, who I watched captain the under-21s yesterday, and there's a few other options. Cody Gakpo's played a little bit in there as well. Obviously, as we know, we unfortunately lost Thiago after having him for about 10 minutes last week as well. Jurgen Klopp was quite tight-lipped on Thiago's situation, wasn't he? But Neil Jones, friend of the show, did report that it is quite a severe hamstring injury that might mean, it's a good point actually, might mean that season and potentially Liverpool career over for Thiago. Daniel Ward raised a great point. Yeah, I mentioned all the wins Liverpool itself got over the weekend. But yeah, Xabi Alonso, who I think every single Liverpool fan had one eye at least on that Bayer Leverkusen Bayern Munich game after our game on the weekend, and was quite pleasantly pleased with what they've seen, I think it's fair to say. We all know Bayer Leverkusen have been absolutely flying in the Bundesliga. Now they're unbeaten in 31 games, all comps, top of the league, 5 points clear. But watching them do a job on Bayern Munich was really interesting. And hearing Xabi Alonso speak after the game as well was also really interesting. And I thought he spoke brilliantly, to be honest. How are you doing, Craig? Hope you're all well, mate. Exactly that. And listen, it was far from perfect. It wasn't pretty at times for Liverpool at the weekend, but we can only take care of our business. So we'll have conversations about Arsenal, Man City. We'll do that later on in the podcast probably. But all we can do right now is deal with our own matters in hand, and kind of what will be. A little bit control the controllables for Liverpool. And so far, after the Arsenal blip last weekend, we're doing that pretty well. Michael, hope you're all well. Michael Farquharson? Farquharson? That's a hell of a surname. That's a hell of a surname. Hope you're well as well. Toronto, Canada. Nice of you to join us. Love that. Not many Canadian Liverpool players, is there? We've been heavily linked with Jonathan David in the past few years, and we had Liam Miller, who I think is a Canada international, but we haven't had loads of Canadians down the years, have we? Hope you're well anyway, mate. Hope you're not cold. I'm just assuming it's very cold where you are in the world right now. It might not be. It might not be. Talking of weather, it's really nice here today. Sound, let's actually do some news instead of me just waffling on about the weather. Stephen Harris has signed Watkins, by the way. I like Ollie Watkins, but I'm not sure a sort of a central attacker is what we're in the market for right now, to be fair. Anyway, news. Fabrizio Romano was speaking yesterday about Xabi Alonso, and he said on his YouTube channel, so I won't bring it up because it's just his YouTube channel. I'm going to say it instead, basically. He said Liverpool are well informed on the situation of Xabi Alonso. Liverpool know everything about his contract situation at Bayer Leverkusen, how to find a way to appoint Xabi Alonso potentially in the summer. So Liverpool are really well informed on the situation of Xabi Alonso, he reiterates after saying it. Liverpool, they have to wait for the new sporting director to decide altogether how, when and in which way to attack the situation for Xabi Alonso as the manager. We have to see if they will decide to go for another one because there is a short list. It is not only Xabi Alonso, but for sure he is the main candidate for Liverpool. And I'm sure that's music to a lot of our ears because people will have different opinions on sort of who the right man for the job is. Maybe they think Xabi Alonso hasn't got enough experience to come in and do that job right now, but I think I've said it on the show, and if not, I definitely said it on the podcast last week. Like, obviously there's the connection with Liverpool, there's the bond that we've already got with him. Sorry, I got distracted by Michael telling me the weather isn't so bad. Good. There's obviously the connection, there's the love we already share, there's the stuff we've already done together as a football club and as a player, obviously. But in terms of experience at first team level, he hasn't got loads of it. He's like a season and a half worth now. But my biggest fear is that he's just the next big thing in management terms. And if he goes to Real Madrid, if he ends up going to Bayern Munich or someone like that, and we miss out, that terrifies me, absolutely terrifies me, because it feels like a golden opportunity to appoint Xabi Alonso. And listen, if he isn't that and it doesn't work out, then we deal with it, we move on. Like, managers come and go. Liverpool aren't exactly a hire and fire him institution right now, I think it's fair to say. So we definitely give whoever the next man is time, if it is Xabi Alonso especially, I reckon. But it just feels like a bit of a match made in heaven, and the timing of it is also very, very, very tempting, I would say. And there are no other candidates out there with the credentials, certainly in playing terms, and also with what looks like the potential to be a very, very good manager, and Xabi Alonso definitely has all of that. Jake Sutcliffe says, Xabi with Gerrard as head coach. We may as well bring Javier Mascherano in as first team coach and Momo Sissoko in as like physio or something, and just get the band back together. The old best midfield in the world back together. Yeah, I thought that was strange as well, Jamie, I must admit. When I first watched it, because I think I was doing shows at the time, so we didn't have the volume on or anything, and wasn't able to watch it properly either. I thought he like scored because he used to play for Bayern or something like that, or was he a Bayern fan? I didn't quite get it. And obviously now in the aftermath I've realised that he actually on loan from Bayern. That's mad. Like, that wouldn't happen in the Premier League. It doesn't feel like. There are clauses. It is pretty often just a clause that says you can't play against your parent club, but that feels like it's always included here, doesn't it? It's so rare that it wouldn't be. And yeah, I thought it was very, very odd. Or McBurney. Ollie McBurney. Somebody wants us to sign Ollie McBurney. Quite possibly. I do wonder what he does next. I know there was big interest from the Saudi Pro League last summer, interest that he turned down himself. I think Liverpool might have been open to that deal, to be honest. But he decided to stay and try and sort of reignite his fitness and his Liverpool career, of course. That hasn't worked out. So it is interesting to see what he does next. I believe the problem with his hip is pretty chronic and probably will never go away. Whether playing in warm weather, be it Saudi or the MLS or South America or whatever, that might help. We've seen a lot of players do that down the years, injury-prone players especially, go to warmer climates and they get another 2-3 years out of their actual playing career. Who knows? It's a big shame whatever happens, and people will say what they will about Thiago and his Liverpool time and the amount of money he's earned and all that sort of stuff. But it is a shame because I maintain watching Thiago is one of the greatest joys in life. Like, he's just incredible footballer. But I do wonder what happens next with him. And hopefully, I'd like to see him go into coaching, and who knows, maybe even coach at Liverpool one day. Why not team up with Xabi Alonso, fellow Spaniard, his compatriot, and just crack on from there? Exactly this, by the way. And what he's doing now, he doesn't have the CV. We spoke a lot about Unai Emery last week on the pod, and on Biased as well. If you haven't seen that, there's a clip on Redmen TV2 now on YouTube. But we spoke a lot about that, and sort of in CV terms, someone like Emery ticks more boxes than Xabi Alonso, of course, because they've been doing it for longer, essentially. But does he have the feel of a Liverpool manager? There's something intangible in there that I can't quite put my finger on and say that's it, but it exists. It is a thing, and Xabi Alonso has that with Liverpool. It's just there. Whereas someone like Emery, albeit European trophies, league titles, etc., I think there's something to Xabi just being that guy that just makes loads of sense. Plus, as you mentioned, like the fact what he's doing right now is testament to just how incredible a job he is doing, because he took Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, it was 17th when he took over last season, transformed that around, and now top of the league. Interesting question, Sean, actually. I've not just brought this up because I've done a show on this, which probably is going out later on this week, to be honest with you. Thiago Pinto is one, was at Roma with Jose Mourinho, left at the same time. Richard Hughes at Bournemouth is another one. Tim Steidten at West Ham, who was doing a good job, is doing a good job, despite what happened over the weekend. What else? Who else was there? Pinto, Paul Mitchell, the guy who left Monaco. He's a very, very highly thought of sporting director as well, to be honest with you. And Michael Zorc, who's been at Dortmund forever, is also recently left there. So there are a few names doing the rounds on that front, and it'd be interesting to see where we go. Dan Ashworth was one mentioned to me too, the guy up at Newcastle at the moment, but I think him leaving Newcastle feels a little bit far-fetched. But in terms of go, he would be an absolute brilliant one, because we all know the job he did at Brighton. So yeah, I think we do need to get that sorted though, to be honest with you. Because that will play into the manager appointment as well. Mark and everyone, I don't understand people attacking Thiago online. He's not been constantly injured deliberately. Oh, an afternoon, mate. Hope you're well. I've missed a lot of afternoons, and apologies for that. But there was loads of them, and we've got stuff to do. So hope everybody is well, and hope everybody had a good weekend, just like Liverpool Football Club did. Mr. Moses says, I think Ruben Amorim is a shout, quietly doing amazing things at Sporting. Yeah, he absolutely is doing amazing things at Sporting. They remain top of the Primeira Liga. I am planning to do a show with a Portuguese expert about Ruben Amorim at some point, because we need to know more about him, quite frankly, don't we? So yeah, interesting one that. And he appears to be the name sort of most often linked with Xabi Alonso. It's always like Xabi Alonso is the main candidate, like Fabrizio Romano said, but keep an eye on, but watch out for, and it very often appears to be Ruben Amorim. So not a surprise to hear you mention that. Luke Hennigan asked, what's going on with Sobbo? Any news on him? Nothing since Jurgen Klopp said over the weekend that he was back running, which is really positive. The fact there's no midweek game is also good news, because it might give him and a few others more time to recover, because obviously Alisson Becker missed the game, Joe Gomez missed the game. Szoboszlai, as you mentioned, there seems to be a bit of flu knocking around the camp as well. As we know too, Trent came off at half-time, which feels precautionary, but also doesn't feel ideal. So fingers crossed on that one. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Bear, speaking about Frimpong, who is a very good player. If anyone watched that game in the weekend and seen his goal. But we don't need him because we've got Bradley. Conor Bradley's exceptional, isn't he? And we don't know what's going to go on with him. In terms of, obviously, we know he's been on compassionate leave, and rightfully so. And Jurgen Klopp said recently that he can take as long as he needs, and I think we all echo that sentiment, to be fair. Henry is big into Dan Ashworth, by the way. But I think we all echo that sentiment. But interesting, we were having a conversation just earlier on upstairs in the office about Conor Bradley and Trent, and what you do when Bradley comes back. Do you go straight to him, and do you maybe play Trent in midfield? I think the midfield options we've got at our disposal means you have to drop somebody really good to get Trent into midfield. Now, I know Trent is world class, and I know nobody possesses the ability that he does with a ball at his feet. But I'm not sure. I think you use Conor Bradley like you used Joel Kwanzaa, and just sort of drop him in and out of games here and there. And you're not surprised when he starts one, because he's absolutely brilliant and he's more than proven he's ready to do that. But he doesn't suddenly become the right back. Not quite ready for that yet, I would say. And we also had a conversation about left backs and what happened in the summer there, because obviously Tsimikas came back at the weekend, and Robertson also started the weekend for the first time for I think 4 months as well. What do you do in the summer with those two? Because you've got them two as sort of the senior left back options. We've seen Joe Gomez do it absolutely brilliantly, and there's a conversation to be had about Gomez ousting Kostas Tsimikas as the second choice. You've also got Callum Scanlon, who I watched yesterday for the 21s, and he was absolutely brilliant. Like, he feels not quite ready, but very close to being ready for first team action. Luke Chambers out on loan at Wigan, Owen Beck out on loan at Dundee at the moment. There's 5 left backs that I've just named, rolled off my tongue, who will all be having conversations around getting first team minutes next year. So there's a big situation to be resolved in the summer, I'd describe it as. Wouldn't want? No, not that. That's with a V, that one. That's a different one. If Liverpool are in the market for a right winger in the summer, would you prefer Bakayoko from PSV or Nico Williams from Bilbao? That's an exceptional question. Probably just... I like them both. Probably just Nico Williams. But that's a good question. I'd take either of them. And to the first point, I think we will be in the market for a right winger rather in the summer, to be honest with you. Whether Salah stays or goes, which is not a conversation I'm willing to have right now. Sean also echoes that Nico Williams for him. I don't know. I wouldn't sort of cast any aspersions and rule him out in terms of long-term fitness just yet. But yeah, a little bit frustrating, given the fact he came back from injury and then instantly felt exactly the same thing. Maybe it was a little bit too soon for him, who knows. Could just be one of them things. But yeah, I wouldn't sort of tar him with the always injured brush just yet. This as well. I think the way whoever the new manager wants to play will sort of give us a big nod towards what we do with a lot of our players and a lot of our transfer business as well in the summer, because we might not need certain types of players, because Xabi Alonso, Ruben Amorim might not need them. They might want somebody else instead. So yeah, stylistically, it's going to be a really, really fascinating one. King Jason wants Florian Wirtz instead. I mean, who doesn't want Florian Wirtz? Let's be honest about it. For a lad that's had like 2 serious ACL injuries, he is absolutely phenomenal. Like, just ridiculous. I don't know who you're referring to here, Sean. But yeah, do let me know. Either way, if you could pick any manager to take from Klopp. If you could pick any manager to go from Klopp, would you still go with Alonso? Yeah, I would. And I know I'm dismissing some Nico Williams. Okay, I know I'm dismissing some serious managers out there, like some absolute proven winning managers. Sorry, there's the loudest noise ever coming from Toffee there. Did anyone hear that? That come through in the mics? That was loud. I assume they're just moaning about how crap they are at footy. But yeah, it would still be Xabi Alonso. Because as I said earlier, it just feels like if we don't get Xabi Alonso now, someone else will. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. And we'll be regretting that potentially forevermore. And I can't live in that world. I don't want to live in a world of regret. So yeah, get Xabi Alonso right now for me. Just checking I haven't missed any chats before I move on to the next big... Yeah, do that, by the way, if you were debating doing the Anfield tour or not. Absolutely. And it's even better. Like, I probably need to do it again, to be frank, because obviously I think I did it like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe last. And now it's got like a brand new Annie Road stand and all kinds of things going on. So it's even better. Bigger and better than it's ever been, to be fair. So yeah, absolutely do the tour if you get the opportunity. May and I says, I miss Stefan Bajcetic more than anything. I think he's going to be a beast for Xabi. Yeah, he does feel like the type of player that Xabi Alonso would be able to get the best out of. But, I mean, just need to get him playing again, because he was exceptional last season. He was one of the few shining lights from what was an otherwise pretty average season, wasn't it, to be fair? Anyway, I'll dive into some more news before I carry on talking to you all. I will go to Trent Alexander-Arnold news. Now, I'll just get the report up here. Here we go, found it. A report from Football Insider has claimed that, and this kind of ties into what we're talking about with the sporting director and stuff like that, to be fair, because this is the type of thing that whoever the new sporting director is will have in their in-tray or to-do list the minute they step through the door at Anfield, because there is a lot to do. Obviously, we know about the managerial appointment. We know about transfer stuff that's going to be going on. There's obviously the contract of Joel Matip and Thiago potentially to resolve. I would edge on the fact that not. They're probably both going to leave the club for free, I would imagine. But yeah, there's definitely a Trent Alexander-Arnold question to be resolved, as is a Virgil van Dijk, as is a Mohamed Salah one as well, because all of them are at a contract in 2025 at the end of next season, essentially. But according to Football Insider, Trent Alexander-Arnold is set to be offered a long-term bumper contract by Liverpool, sources have told Football Insider. Now, there's a particular paragraph I wanted to get from this. It says, well-placed sources have told Football Insider that the fullback is expected to be offered the biggest and longest term deal out of the superstar trio, so himself, Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, of course. His contract is set to expire in 2025, but it's believed that he is not pushing for a move away from his boyhood club. Good. Glad about that. As I say, whoever the sporting director is, if it's one of the names I mentioned earlier or anybody else from that sphere, essentially, they've got to get this done. They've got to get it done quickly because you can't afford, for the likes of Salah, Van Dijk and Trent, 3 absolute superstars, 3 pillars of this Liverpool side, 3 of our most important players. You can't afford for any of them to be getting into the final 12 months of their deal. Now, it feels like the Trent one, I think that'll be relatively straightforward. I can't see there being any complications there. Virgil, obviously there was that sort of news story doing the rounds the other week when he didn't really shut down the possibility of a move away. He then did come out and shut down the possibility of a move away. So I think we'll tie him down as well, to be honest with you, because he's just been appointed captain. I'm not sure that the lights of anywhere else are really going to sort of turn his head, to be fair. So those two feel like relatively comfortable to do. Trent, who knows? There's Trent, Salah, who knows, sorry. I'm fascinated by the Salah situation. I hope he stays. I said this pretty much since like last August onwards. I obviously hope he stays. The guy is phenomenal. He is just incredible. Like, his numbers remain inevitable. A joker of footballer, one of the best I've seen in my lifetime at Liverpool. What happens next with him? I don't know. I just don't know. There's even reports coming out last week saying that Al Ittihad and Al Ittifaq, they're coming back with 150 million plus, and I don't know. It's going to be one of them summers again, and it really is for him. And it's a difficult one for the club. I'll deal with that I'll answer that in a second, sorry. It's a difficult one because do you give him a pay rise? Do you give him an extra 2 years on his deal? Of course, the answer would be yes. But if there is 150 million, 200 million on the table, what do you do? Like, the FSG model has been successful, whatever you think of them, like it has, but so much of it has been underpinned by big sales, Philippe Coutinho, stuff like that. That paid for so much of what made us successful. Do you need to do that? And can you do that again with Salah? Obviously, the commercial side of the football club has gone through the roof since then. It's absolutely skyrocketed. So we're generating a lot more revenue on the pitch and off the pitch than we were back then. So the necessity for selling big players isn't quite as great, I would say. But if you are getting offered 175 million for a Mohamed Salah with 12 months left on his deal, who knows? And Daniel Ward raised a great point, the Saudi project. I won't bring it up because I want to deal with this before I do from Rebecca. But absolutely. But will he to me feels like a bigger draw for the Saudi Pro League than anyone else. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, you've got Neymar, you've got Sadio Mane, absolute global superstars in their own right. But Mo Salah in that part of the world is next level, absolutely next level. So they're going to move heaven and earth to try and get him there, absolutely. And if it means Liverpool sit there and say, yeah, we see you 150 million, but we know how much you want him, give us 250, and they get to that figure, I would not want to be the one making that decision because I know what I'd do. I'm not a businessman. It's not my money we're talking about. You know what I mean? I'd be taking like 300-400 million before I even thought about selling him because he's that important, he's that good. But the way football works, the way business works, I don't know. Rebecca, redmenplus.com, captain, legend, however you want to do it, and I recommend it because we do this sort of stuff all the time, of course, but there's a million other things that you don't get to see on YouTube that go on all the time, and it's just boss, especially at the minute, obviously, with the League Cup final on the horizon. We are giving you the best build-up. Our chat with James Pearce went out over the weekend. We've got loads more stuff coming up. A really boss interview this Friday as well, plus all the other stuff that we do day in, day out. So, yeah, make sure you do that. Cool. Let's pop into the chat now. Bear says, agree, if Salah wants to leave, let him. If he doesn't, he needs to sign an extension. Yeah, I just wonder, the extension thing's so interesting because are they going to go and say, is he going to go and say, I want more money and more years? Because the more years thing, obviously. But the more money thing, I don't know how that works. I just don't. And listen, if FSG are willing to give him a pay rise and sound like I'm not going to complain about it, I just don't know if I can see it. They don't often give better contracts to people over the age of 30. And I know Salah remains, an absolute constant, touch wood. But yeah, I just don't know. JD, as you said at the start, then it all comes back to the manager conversation. We need to announce a new manager as soon as possible. So yes, I tend to agree with that, actually. And this, again, there's so much riding on all of this. Like, we've got obviously all the on-pitch stuff going on, which is just huge. Like, it has to be the main focus. But then every time you have a minute to stop and think, you go, oh, hang on, we need a new sporting director. We need a new manager at some point further down the line. We need a contract for Salah, a contract for Van Dijk, and a contract for Trent. Your captain, your vice-captain, your most important player. Shit. Like, shit. There's a lot going on. Absolutely nothing. I haven't had my lunch yet, though, so maybe that's causing me to be a little bit delusional. Because anyone who knows me, or anyone in this office who has seen me, I eat every single hour on the dot, pretty much. So haven't eaten for like 2 hours, so maybe that's what it is. Cheers, Craig. Appreciate that. I did want 400. Yeah, you're right. Not 400 quid, though. That's nowhere near enough. 400 million. But he's that good, isn't he? He's that important. Like, I've got two halves of my head here. Like, my emotional side, my passion for the Reds and like my heart is saying, keep him. Don't care how much you're going to pay, just keep him. But can you let him walk away for free in 18 months' time? Absolutely not. That makes no business sense. So you've got to be split in two, haven't you? Can you give him a pay rise? Probably not. Can you afford to give him a 5-year deal on top of what he's already got? Potentially not. And if he wants that, what do? Do you sell him? I don't know. No, still no. You're not going to let this lie, are you? You're not going to, Never James Ward-Prowse. It's never been James Ward-Prowse. Like, I'll have conversations about many other midfielders before James Ward-Prowse. Absolutely. Has he? Yeah. Contract extension today. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I thought you might have been. Yeah, he's one of the options, by the way, Kubo, which I just seen a moment ago. Wilf says, I'd take silly money for Mo and even Verge, but would you sell Verge? Yeah. Wow. We don't do the amortisation, do we? Matip to renew. I don't know. I mentioned this last week about Matip because obviously Klopp, when it first happened, the injury was like, oh, we'll make sure we'll do right by him. And he was kind of leaning towards the prospect of him getting a new deal. We've heard absolutely nothing since that, to be honest with you. And now we're only a couple of months away from his deal expiring, of course. So I'm not sure. I imagine the way I kind of see it, it might be sort of a rolling contract month by month until he's fit. And then once you've got him fit, then you can move on whenever that may be, even if it's sort of the start of next year, quite possibly. Get him a new club at that point, get him up to fitness, get him up to speed, and then allow him to leave. Because, yeah, I don't know what you gain from giving Joel Matip a new contract. It's the right thing to do, sort of morally, I would say, and giving him time to get back to fitness is absolutely the right thing to do. But if you give him a new 2-year deal on the back of this, I'm not sure how smart that would be, to be honest with you. Anyway, what is everyone saying? I'll start wrapping up in a moment. I hope I haven't missed anyone saying anything nice or just asking questions. I don't watch Super Bowl, to be honest with you, no. I don't. It's not my bag, and I've tried a couple of times. Didn't try last night because I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, so that was never going to happen. But yeah, it's just not for me, to be honest with you. I've got this weird thing, like, is it a little bit more entertainment than sport? I know sport is entertainment, but if I was watching my team get beat in a final, or like the grand final or something, like a half time, say we were getting beat 2-3-0 in football terms, and all of a sudden they're like playing, I don't know, Shania Twain for half an hour at half time, I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Well, this isn't what it's all about. Anyway, how are you doing, mate? One of our YouTube members here. Jurgen Klopp leaving, contracts of Virgil van Dijk, Trent and Mo. Yeah, exactly. A lot to be done for whoever the sporting director is, to be honest with you. I'll quickly address this question. Dom Szoboszlai is back running, so I don't think he'll be too long. Trent, absolutely no prognosis on Trent whatsoever. I was at the academy yesterday watching 21s and spoke to a couple of people about that, and they were kind of saying it might be a couple of weeks again, but again, nobody really knows yet. Nothing's absolutely set in stone. And Salah, there was actually rumours of Salah coming back on the weekend. There was sort of murmurings before the team was announced that he might be on the bench for that. Judging by his personal social media, you'd expect him to be back for the weekend against Brentford, but Klopp was a little bit more reserved on that time frame. He said he could be back in training this week, if not definitely next. So yeah, have to wait and see. But ultimately, like, you know, the options we're getting back all the time. We doesn't feel like we can ever get a full squad together, does it? It feels like you're on the cusp of getting all the lads back and fit, and then flu happens, and then Alisson's randomly not there, and so on and so forth. You lose Trent at half time and stuff like that. Like, the quicker you get Wataru Endo back, you lose Alisson Becker. You can't quite ever. Timing just never quite to suit. And I actually can't wait for the day that happens in terms of everyone's available. It's not going to happen now with Thiago or Joel Matip, of course, but there is a real sort of like an interesting question at the back of my head, like what does our actual full squad look like? Because there's going to be lads left off the bench who are good football players. Like, absolutely love Conor Bradley, love Joel Quansah. There's a chance that one of them could be left out of a first-team squad because we've got that much at our disposal. It's frightening. Like on Footy Manager, I sometimes just don't pick a sub-keeper and just risk the main keeper getting injured because I've got that many lads who just want to play. Usually all strikers, granted. But Liverpool could be in that sort of realms of possibility. Although we'd never actually drop Kevin Keller from the bench because that's mental. Blue, not long, I don't imagine, mate. Klopp spoke about it, said he needs as long as he possibly wants, basically, until he returns. But with the Trent injury and the way he's gone about his business so far, I do wonder whether, right or wrongly, Conor Bradley will be thinking, okay, Liverpool now need me back, and he'll come back for the weekend. Who knows? But again, if he doesn't, so be it. Klopp did not say that, no. He played down the whole Thiago situation, so we just have to see what it is. But again, reports are that it isn't good. Nigel says he definitely have Conor starting. Again, I think providing he is back available for the weekend, I think we're going to see a bit of Conor Bradley starting some games over the next couple of weeks, potentially the final as well, depending on Trent. Josh Payne wants to see Fabio Carvalho in the Alonso system. Yeah, there's another one whose future needs resolving, to be fair, as well. Absolutely this, by the way. Hincapia, yeah, give me Florian Wirtz as well. Sound, I'll start to wrap up now. Because, yeah, I'm just waffling by this point. 2 o'clock. Oh, we're doing it at 2 o'clock. Sorry. I mean, you've got time to fast forward your Nando's, maybe by half an hour. Good decision on the Nando's, though. But yeah, we are going live at 2 o'clock on the podcast. So I need to go and eat some lunch before that. Because otherwise I will be starving by the time that comes around, and nobody wants that in their life. Hope everybody's well. I genuinely hope I haven't missed anything too serious in the chat, because I try not to, but there's a hell of a lot of chat going on. All of it good though, which is good fun. Yeah, exactly this, Tom Finney. Not the Tom Finney, I assume. Or a relative of the Tom Finney. Legendary name, regardless. Sound, news-wise, Xabi Alonso, Liverpool, he is the main candidate, according to Fabrizio Romano. And according to Football Insider, Liverpool are planning to give Trent Alexander-Arnold a bumper new deal because his current contract ends in 2025, and his deal will surpass what is being offered to Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. Good, Rebecca. Well done. Loads of conversations. Absolute legend, by the way, as well. Proper legend. Like, you know, fair play for you for that name. Sound. Boss. Absolutely. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for getting involved as ever. Hope it was fun. Hope it was informative at times. Hope it wasn't too, you know, just me chatting shit. But either way, I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord, and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier status.